it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And it's games are coming thick and fast. And I never really even announced we were going to be doing this one a bit earlier today, but we are. So if you're watching this back on catch up, I do apologize. But Friday night, 7:45, there's a lot of stuff on TV, and there's somewhere I've got to be at 8:30. So this mightn't be the longest ever preview, Paddy. I don't think, because I think you've got somewhere that you need to be as well.
I do, and I must apologise because I think I've got a problem with my setup here, and there's a new monitor in my setup, which I think is causing the problem with my internet, and I can't figure it out. So the monitor might have to be thrown out the window, and we might need to start again. But anyway, how are you, Neil?
Windows are for throwing things out. Very much so. One of my kids nearly.
But rock stars like that fella behind me, they're for throwing things out, all right, but not me.
Exactly, lovely geezer. But I noticed that I meant to make reference in the post match for Liverpool about that as well, because I saw it. So this is the Villa Chelsea preview, but we're going to hijack it slightly, as is our want to do, because you know that we can never stay on topic. But I planned on going today for a Champions League draw, watch along, whatever the case it was, but just got caught in work. Couldn't do it because, contrary to popular belief, we do have day jobs. Paddy, we kind of got, I won't say that we got the draw we wanted, but look, fuck it, you have to beat them all to win it. But I think getting Bruges is a real big carrot, I think, in the next round. Having Bruges, having the away leg second, and all the way to the final, the way we've been drawn, if we win all our games, we will have the away leg second all the way up to the final, which apparently people tell me is an advantage. So kind of have to be happy with that, I think.
Yeah, it is an advantage, and everybody will tell you it's an advantage. Every footballer wants to play the second leg at home. If you're chasing a game, you want to be at home. If you're running away with the game, you want to be at home. It just gives that little bit of extra buzz going into what will probably be a tough encounter, no matter who you're playing against. But it's definitely probably the easiest draw we can pick out of it, and a good opportunity. Like, to go as far as we can in this competition is important financially for the club, but for everything else, it's just amazing to be able to look at a draw for the last 16 of the Champions League and see us in it. And that means the rest of the world is looking at Aston Villa. That means every player in Europe is looking at Aston Villa, because everybody looked at that draw today and went, class. Great to see a number like Aston Villa in there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to focus my camera. I'm just trying to focus my camera, and I can't seem to focus it. It'll be all right. Maybe my smudge face is much more appealing to people anyway. Yeah, there's a comment here, James Wood, saying that it's great listening to the Greedy Six fan crying about the draw. I think that was an interesting one. I did see. And look, I'm not having a go at Liverpool fans or anything like this, but I did see, I like the new format. I like what it's throwing up. It's up to every team to go out and to get a decent position. I suppose what it doesn't do is it doesn't take into account for Paris Saint-Germain limping through, or Real Madrid limping through, or Man City limping through. You know, that kind of, it doesn't take into account that. The way it's built is that the best teams will finish in the top 8. But as Liverpool have found out, they probably get one of the tougher draws. Like, they don't want to face PSG. If they win that and they have to face us, they probably don't want to face us either. You know, they would prefer to have maybe a Dortmund or a Benfica or a Feyenoord or an Inter even, or a Barcelona from the other side of the draw. They'd probably prefer that, because the PSG are a very good team, and, you know, they've just played us. They feel aggrieved, and they should go out against us and think they can beat us. But Aston Villa kind of, I won't say we've had their number, but we've not given them too many really easy games either, you know, and over a 2-legged fixture, they would still be confident they could beat us, but they have to get past a PSG squad first before they even think about an Aston Villa or a Club Brugge in the other end. So, look, I suppose they are the frailties of of the situation.
We have,
But maybe
we
finish
have, we
mediocre
have
in the
to do
middle.
our job. We have to do our job, which won't be easy. We need to concentrate on getting that job done before we look ahead. So forget about every other side of the draw, other than we've got all the English teams on one side of the draw, which is a little bit
All the Germans
unfortunate.
on the other side.
All the Germans on the other side. So they'll all end up knocking each other out for coefficient, is what I'm thinking about more than anything else. But we've got to do our job. We got to go and beat Bruges. And that is not going to be easy. They were hard to break down over there the last time. But you've got to think over 2 legs, we've got a really good chance of beating anybody. So take maybe Real Madrid out of that. I've got a feeling we could beat anyone over 2 legs with the tactical nous of Unai Emery at this level of the game, and the number of extra signings we've brought back in, plus the fact that we will have certain players back on the pitch very soon.
Injury. Yeah.
Fingers crossed we have a full bill of health by the time this rocks around again, because it's coming thick and fast, and it's only 3 weeks away, less
Absolutely.
2 weeks away. Bonker stuff.
Yeah, and like going by FootMob, which is no means the bastion of all truth with regards to injuries, like looks like we're going to have Kanza for the weekend. Bailey is probably ready to return to the squad as well. Having options is fantastic. Looks like late February we will have the likes of Onana, Torres, Kamara, Barkley back. We could potentially go from, looking around and counting on one finger at certain stages, how many centre halves we have, to a full complement, and let's hope that happens, because that's big for Aston for the rest of Aston Villa's season. And God knows we need a small bit of stability in defence, because that has been our Achilles heel so far. Moving on, I suppose, to the beforehand, Scott Taggart just put in a comment there before we move on. Did you see that we've breached UEFA financial rules regarding reading that we'll get a fine and need to fix it even after selling Luis Duran and Drabi for over 200 million? The Duran sale isn't taken into account for 2024. But I think that the club were well aware that if they got down to a certain level, they would get a minimal fine, and they're okay with that. I don't think they actually need to fix it. They just pay the fine and fucking move on. I think that's what it is. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of it. Like, we wouldn't be penalized for 2024 into 2025, but then again, we do still have to do some training in 2025 to provided we're in Europe and provided go and win the Champions League. You won't have to do much training because of all the partnerships and all the sponsorships and all the money that will flood through the gates. Chris Heckel will need a special. They have to get rid of the coach parking altogether and just have a secure Corvan parking spot there for all the money that will be flying in the gates of Villa Park. So that's one way to get yourself out of it. But look, I don't imagine the club. This is the club are blindsided by this. Don't really care. If it's fine, it's fine. That's fine. That's fine by me. As long as it's not going to be a Juventus one where it was egregious and Juventus were thrown out of the Conference League last year. So if we pay our fine and we just move on, I think that's the situation. I think that's what will happen here.
I'm okay with fines if we breached it and it's a fine. That's okay. But it's when people like us have to suffer because of what happened behind the scene. Then we're in a worry. But look, done and dusted. Don't think there's anything for us to worry about, really, and we can look forward to two-legged affair in the knockout stages for the first time in 40 years. And I can't wait. Can't wait. Of this competition, obviously, we got the knockout stages previously in the UEFA Cup, and I don't think it was Europa League by then, was it? When Matt O'Neill was there, I think it was the UEFA Cup. Yeah. So, look, it's amazing. So it's amazing to be sitting here talking about it, and we've said that so many times that it's been a pleasant distraction watching these Champions League games unfurl, because it's been really poor in the Premier League and sometimes a very difficult watch. So two-legged affair against anybody, I'd be more than confident that we could go and beat Bruges. After that, it's anybody's guess. Yeah. But I think now the next step has to be to get the next level in this Champions League and then take a slice of that pie, which is a huge chunk of change to add to our
Massive.
FFP. So
Is it
that
another
makes me
like
happy.
50? I'm very much open to correction on this because I'm pulling this in the back of my memory bank now. There's nothing. I've Googled this in about fucking 4 months. But is it something like an extra 15 million if we beat Bruges over 2 legs, which is big money?
Uh,
Maybe
yeah,
something like
15
that.
million to beat them over 2 legs, but additional money if you win the games. So it could
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
go even further.
Like you
So
get a prize money for getting into like the quarterfinals is like 50 million plus you get money for winning the games or drawing the games,
yeah.
the same percentage share. Massive.
Plus, there was a lot of negativity. Somebody rehashed some story over the last couple of weeks about them putting up the price for the next round. They haven't. Thank God, because it was virgin on the
I don't think
unaffordable as it was. So I'm glad
I
the
don't think they
prices
could
haven't
have.
gone up for this round.
Yeah. I think yeah, and once again, everything you see on the internet, sprinkle that little pinch of salt over it with absolutely everything, even if it comes from us. Because we're no, sometimes we're only saying what we hear as well, and nothing's
Yeah,
confirmed until it's confirmed. And just like that, Chelsea are on the horizon, Paddy, because I'm keeping an eye on the clock here because I know we both have to shoot off in about 15 minutes time ish. But Chelsea are on the horizon. And I have to say, look, Chelsea obviously being in 5th place at the moment, or 6th place, I think, 5th or 6th place in the moment, but an incredibly erratic team again. Started off like a train at the start of the season. They were very fluid. They were winning games, even in Europe. They're winning games by 6-7. If they don't canter that Conference League, it's all a matter of what happens. Like Maresca will be sacked if they don't win that. But they were cantering along in the league, and they seem to have stuttered and stalled a small bit recently. Injury bug has hit them up top again. And over the last few games that they've had, like ourselves, last few games they've thrown in a couple of ricks. Now, I know their last were against Brighton. They lost against Brighton twice, obviously once in the Cup, once in the league. The last against City. They beat Wolves 3-1. They beat West Ham 2-1. So,
yeah.
like their away form, I read Stato had their away form as well, has not been very, very favourable in the last few months, never mind the last
No,
few weeks. So,
well, since Christmas, they lost to Fulham and Ipswich over Christmas. That was the start of it, and then drew a Crystal Palace. So that was the start of the downfall. They did have a couple of wins in there, obviously Fulham and West Ham, as you said, but you've got to think they're going to be coming to Villa Park to try and win the game. So we're going to see an expansive game of football like we did the other night. It's going to be a nice watch football-wise, but we got to be careful because we know they're more than capable of hurting us. They have done recently. So, we've seen some of their players are not firing on all cylinders since Christmas. I'm not going to single anybody out because when I single somebody out, it comes back and bites me on the ass, and they end up having a stormer against us. So, they'll be lacking a bit of confidence going into this game, and I feel quietly optimistic that we're going to get something from it. At least a draw, but I think we should be targeting a win tomorrow, judging by the form that they've had.
Like, just go down through. We've talked about our injuries, which I think Bailey will be in contention for tomorrow. I think Kanza will be in contention. I don't think Emery mentions Kanza as, I won't say confidently, and Bailey as confidently as he did today. And he said they trained today. They're going to train later on. They're going to see him tomorrow, and then see what the story is. Kanza being back is huge because we just need him. We need him to be back. But their injuries, the Chelsea injuries are Salonia, the goalkeeper, is out. That doesn't really bother us. Badiashile, Fofana, Lavia, the striker Fofana, Marquinhos out, Jackson is out, Madueke is out as well. So they've got a laundry list of people who are out, and it's probably looking like they're going to play. But I don't know who they'll play at centre half tomorrow. I don't know, will it be Chalobah and Colwell, or will it be Tosin and Colwell? My old buddy Cucurella will definitely be in there at left back. And it looks like Reece James is probably going to get the recall. An absolutely sparkling player when his hamstrings don't disintegrate. Fuck it, if he could. I was kind of half hoping that maybe we could get a witch doctor out and snap him up from Chelsea for a couple of million, because they were ready to pull the plug on him, get some witch doctor out to him, fix his hamstrings and fire him in at right back. But Chelsea seem to have got him back to full fitness, and he's going to be starting in there at right back as well. I'd imagine the two boys, the two expensive £100 million players, are going to be in the older midfielders at Enzo and Casero. And then you're probably looking at Neto, Palmer, Sancho. Maybe
Nkunku.
there's talks they might bring that young kid in. Or, well, it was actually Dan Bardell and Tanswell today were talking about it, and his name is Tariq George. I think that's his name, maybe in there as well. But if not, look, Sancho's there, and then it'll probably be somebody like Nkuku up top. Can't imagine that they'll. Yeah, I don't know of anybody else that they will be able to start up top, other than Nkuku currently. But we'll see what the story is. So, like, they're limited in numbers that they have, even with all the billions that they've spent as well with all their injuries. Because we didn't even mention Mal Augusto. Looks like he might be out. I actually want him to start, to be honest with you, because he's been putrid this year. And Mudryk, of course, is out because he took the old sniffly or whatever he took, and he's out because of the old drug ban, the dreaded drug ban. Catches up with us all at one stage, I suppose.
Allegedly,
but I don't know. It's nonsense, like sorry, not nonsense that he's banned, but that a player in this day and age feels that they can get away with it is absolutely incredible. Blows my mind. Anyway,
look, at least they're banning people that are at the top of the sport, unlike what they're doing in tennis, which is an absolute mystery.
We should. I heard David. Okay, this is a massive tangential. If anybody wants to listen to David Walsh on News Talk 2 nights ago at roughly about 8 o'clock, go and find the clip of News Talk from 8 o'clock 2 nights ago, and you will hear a banger of an interview. David Walsh absolutely goes to town on the Tennis Association there, and just get your popcorn because he absolutely eviscerates them. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but I will tell you, I sat back and I had a little chuckle to myself because he was absolutely on fire. Anyway, back to matters sporting and soccer, I suppose, or football, should I say, Paddy. People who are listening in and heard me call it soccer, don't be too hard on me. We've got another type of football over here, so it's just trying to differentiate. So, Paddy, I've ascertained that you're confident, but not. Oh, Shelburne are after scoring, are they, Paddy?
They are.
I get the German. From what I can take, I suppose, from what Emery said today, Konza looks like he's going to be back, and my fears of Mings after getting an injury are unfounded, and it looks like he's going to be in there. So it looks like we might have 2 centre halves the weekend.
Yeah, and look, we need it, obviously, with Kamara having been filled in there, and him picking up an injury, and Disasi is obviously cup-toed, or not cup-toed, but can't play against his parent club, whatever you call that. And then he's a choice to make it right back. For me, it's Garcia. I think Garcia might punish them. And then it's whatever you choose. It'll be McGinn, Tielemans, Rodgers, Asensio, maybe Ramsey. Rashford will start, I think. And Watkins up front. The big question is, does he go with Asensio again from the start?
I don't. I think he goes with Malin.
I think it'll be JJ. Pardon?
You think it'll be JJ? I think it'll be Malin. I think he'll go Rashford, Rodgers, Malin.
Fair enough.
I have a feeling. But yeah, I think that do you know what the great thing is? That we don't just say it's going to be JJ, Rodgers, and Bailey, or JJ, Rodgers, McGinn, and that three behind the striker doesn't just pick itself. Because realistically, he could go with JJ. He couldn't go with McGinn because McGinn's going to be needed back. Well, he could go unless he goes with Bogart there, but you could be going like JJ, Asensio, Bailey tomorrow, or Rashford, Rodgers, Malin. So like the options are there. The options are absolutely there.
It's great to be able to mix that up. It would just give me more confidence if we had enough backup in defence. And that's the troublesome department, because we're now down to the bare bones, and if one of them was to pick up an injury, then we will be struggling tomorrow by who we're going to have to throw in there. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. And having got through a first 45 minutes for the first time in 5 or 6 games the other night without an injury, I'm pleasantly surprised that we've nothing to report after that weekend, after that game midweek. So a good performance, a good point to pick up, and should keep us in good stead to go. And a win would put us 1 point behind Chelsea. I think that's the huge thing, and it just has everybody else around them look up and take notice. And most of the teams that we've left to play this season are in contention for something and won't be able to park the bus like we have seen on numerous occasions this season. So fingers crossed that this is our springboard. We got the 2 points during the week, make it 5, drag ourselves into this Champions League run on a high, preparing for an onslaught both in the league to get into Europe and in the Champions League to get into the next round. And I think we're looking into a very positive situation. But that can change very quickly. Losing tomorrow is not an option, in my opinion. That 1 point that I'm talking about being behind Chelsea is suddenly 7. So that can't happen tomorrow. We just cannot lose. So fingers crossed we get 3 points. I'd struggle to say that I would take a point. I want us to go and win the match.
Yeah. I throw out the kind of the facetious devil's advocate piece after the Liverpool game, saying, you know, fast forward to Chelsea doing the post-match podcast, and Villa have won 3-1 against Chelsea. And we say, well, would we have been happy if we beat Ipswich and drew with Chelsea and Liverpool? You know, if we were to swap the results around. And, you know, that's obviously been, that is just, like, I said it just to be devil's advocate, but there will be people who will throw that out. And it's just engagement farming, I suppose, really, you know, at the end of the day. But beating Chelsea is very important for us because obviously our, we're 39 points, they're 43, they're in 6th place. Our goal difference isn't going to do us any favours. So we have to beat the teams that are ahead of us. Like, we've got Chelsea left to play. We have to beat them. We've Forest left to play. We have to beat them. We've Fulham who are in and around us left to play. We have to beat them. We have to beat Brighton. We have to beat... We've Arsenal still left to play, don't we? We've Bournemouth still left to play.
Yeah.
We've a lot of teams up. So remember last time, Paddy, we were talking about, can we get into the Champions League? Can we get 5th place? And I sat and I looked at the fixtures, and it's fucking tough. But every team above us that we beat, we take points off them. It's a 6-pointer. So, like, I just named those there. Chelsea, 6-pointer. Arsenal, 6-pointer. Bournemouth, 6-pointer. City, 6-pointer. Forest, 6-pointer. Newcastle, 6-pointer. Brighton, 6-pointer. Fulham, 6-pointer. Brentford, 6-pointer. That's 8 out of our last 13 games are 6-pointers. In a lot of ways, you know, beating teams that are in and around us or above us. So you could. I'm not saying that it's. I'm not saying that it's. When I will look at that and the permutations there that you would look at it, that, you know, all it takes is for us to beat Chelsea, us to beat Newcastle, us to beat whoever, or we beat Palace or whatever. Next thing, all of a sudden, 2 teams above us play each other and they draw, and they get 1 point each, and we get a 2-point jump in them. Things can start to happen there when we're playing teams around there, but it's all a matter if we don't beat Chelsea, because Chelsea are in our sights first, and then everybody else is in our sights after that. You know, and trying to get above a team.
You get us through this weekend with 3 points on the board. We then go Palace, Brentford, Brighton, Forest, Southampton, all winnable games, and all with something to play where a point is no good to them. And then obviously we play Newcastle then in April. There's something else happening that day. Something escapes my mind what's happening that day. But
don't worry, Paddy. I've got an iPad for the Aston Villa table. You can watch the match. You'll be in the boardhouse at that stage. I've that, and then I have a projector for my cousins who want to watch WrestleMania later on that night. I have a projector in the after party pub.
Well, here's one for you, Neil.
I'm catering for everyone.
Here's one for you. I can't do anything about WrestleMania. Yeah. But I am 90% sure that Villa versus Newcastle will be the Super Sunday game at 4:30 on the 20th of April. So day 2 will be fine.
Day 2 will be absolutely bonkers. So, because Limerick are playing hurling as well. Jesus, I might have to get on it early for day 2. Anyway, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this afterwards, because I'm just looking here. Forest, just looking at the home and aways. So we've got Brighton away, Forest.
For those that don't know, Neil is getting
married that day. I'm getting married. And you know what? Of course, this will tell you how much I cannot get out of my own way as a person. Is I decide to get married in the 1 year that we have a run in the Champions League. And do you think I'd love to be in Villa Park to watch Bruges? You can fucking bet your bottom dollar I would love to be in there. Do you think I'm going to get a shore leave from the Minister for Finance inside? Absolutely no hope with 4 weeks to go to the wedding. So I'm going to have to, I'm contemplating faking my death. I'm contemplating going out, ringing some dodgy Italian doctor, getting myself cloned. Maybe Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I might have to watch that to get some ideas to see how I can pretend that maybe I'm in bed sick or something and get over. But you know, it's yeah, just can't get out of my own way, guys. I really, really can't. And everyone should feel sorry for me. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so we I think I'll be murdered as well doing the team sheet tantrum on the day of my wedding, but I won't rule it out. I won't rule it out, Betty. For sure. Anyway, we're getting really off topic.
I'm 90% ruled you out because the match is supposed to be on a half hour on the Sunday, so that will make life a little bit easier for you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, exactly. If it is on the Sunday, we'll be absolutely fine. But if it's not, well then I don't know. Anyway,
if not, I'm going to pack my contact in Sky Sports.
Do tap him exactly. Right, I'm just looking at the time here because I have to be out of here in the next 4 minutes. Have you anything else on the Chelsea side? I think this was just going back to the team again. I'd be relatively confident that Konsa is going to be playing. I just the way he was name checked, I think that it was more Unai was more confident about the situation that he kind of let on yesterday, which I think is good. Still, though, the centre half curse that's afflicting almost every single team outside of Nottingham Forest. In the top 10 at the moment. Hopefully it's easing off. Really hope that's easing off. We get Torres back. We get Disassi obviously will be back next for Crystal Palace regardless, and we start to get some stability there because I think both teams will score, as is our way. We don't keep clean sheets, and I think that we're going to need to be on our toes for this one. But it is imminently winnable, especially with us playing at home, and they're dodgy away form as well. So I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting game. It's 5:30 kickoff as well. So I think Aston Villa will be raucous. It'll be absolutely pumping.
You'd have to think so. Too. Yeah, absolutely. And everybody that's traveling, there's a few of our friends traveling. Safe travels to everybody getting to Villa Park tomorrow. Hope you have a great day. Really looking forward to watching it myself. Was supposed to go, but can't, unfortunately. So I'll have a little bit of FOMO come 5:30 tomorrow night. But that is life. Must go on. And up the Villa.
Exactly. Guys, we've got to run. Got to be out of here in 2 minutes, but thanks a million, everyone. We'll be back again tomorrow. Team Sheet Tantrums and post-match podcasts here. So subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and like this as well. Fire it out there to everyone that you like. That you feel might like it, should I say? And we'll see you again tomorrow. So best of luck, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.